did you or your child have this when they were, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 years old? Well, no, they didn't. I think maybe we should take a step back and work on these things. When a lot of people have really fallen off because they haven't taken that extra time to maybe clean up that technical or really play on their own. To really have that moment to fall in love with the sport. You hit the nail right on the head with everything you just said right there. Again, with the roles that we all play as coaches, when I absorb everything that you just said, because within my past 10 years of coaching, I feel the role that I do play really is, sometimes people call it zone one.
Hey guys, welcome to part 2 of the Inside Scoop, where I sat down with Coach Jesse Nova. Jesse, that's what I'm gonna call you from now on.
Sounds good.
He is a grassroots coaches, instructor, helps organize and run grassroots program, and does a lot of work in the community in that Scranton, PA area. We had a more extensive interview with Coach Jesse last week, and now I'm going to have a shorter interview with Coach Jesse where I get your thoughts on the state of grassroots soccer, the role that you feel grassroots soccer and recreational soccer can and should play in a player's development, and your thoughts on U.S. soccer and youth soccer in general. And we've got 15 minutes, so we're going to throw some parent tips in there as well. Coach, welcome to the show, and introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Neil. My name is Coach Jesse Novatski, Coach Jesse Nova, as I've been called, or as people have known me. I'm a student of the game, student of life. I've learned a lot in my 10 years of coaching, and I've been playing for about 30 years, even recreationally, so I'm still absorbing a whole lot. So I would just like to add that a lot of the experiences, a lot of the things I have very much are from my personal experience and lens. And man, I'm still learning a lot more and every single day.
Now, Jesse, you're pretty passionate in our Facebook group. And guys, if you're not a member of the Anytime Soccer Training Facebook group, I encourage you to join, where we talk about issues of affordability. We talk about issues of developmentally appropriate practices when it comes to youth development. So, big picture, what do you feel the role of grassroots and roots in recreational soccer is in development? And then I'm going to ask you, and what are some of the biggest missed opportunities there?
Thank you for mentioning the role, by the way, because that's what it really is. It's going to take multiple players and multiple roles to really figure all this out. The role that I feel like I play is on the grassroots side, is on that recreational side, is on that educational side. So when I am talking, ball control, when I am talking about, small-sided games, it is very much fundamental. And sometimes at the older age groups, people tend to not like it. So I will fall back and just ask, did you or your child have this when they were, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 years old? Well, no, they didn't. I think maybe we should take a step back and work on these things. No, we're not going to. And all right, that's okay. But from my experience, that's when a lot of people have really fallen off because they haven't taken that extra time to maybe clean up that technical or really play on their own, to really have that moment to fall in love with the sport.
Yes, but our private conversations, you constantly mention your frustration of getting older kids who don't have those fundamentals, but you see the potential there, and you just wish someone would have shaken the coaches, the players, and the parents, and said, you got to get these fundamentals when you were younger. So here is one of the challenges that we're facing in the States, and I want to get your opinion on it. And let me preface this by saying it's a challenge to some and not for others. So there are benefits, there are pros and cons to everything. I personally believe, especially in our area, that the grassroots, the Rec Select, what some people call Rec Select, and the challenge programs are being depleted prematurely in favor of going to club soccer because of a lot of complicated reasons. Number one, the parents don't feel as if they're getting value in the recreational program if their kid is competitive. But then it's a spiraling cycle because now the most competitive and interested kids are being taken out of the recreational program and put in the club soccer. But they don't have many of the fundamental skills you need to compete at that level. So now you're quote unquote watering down the club soccer experience and you're paying a lot of money. Then because of that as well, the most motivated and informed parents are also taking their kids out. So that deprives the recreational program of the potentially most qualified invested volunteers. So I'm throwing a lot at you though, so try to follow me. And then you also obviously have the funding issue as well, Parks and Recs just not being funded as much. And then you also have the field situation that's exasperated by the explosion of club soccer teams, which again, all of this stuff is pros and cons, right? Because that gives more kids, many kids opportunities to play, but it leaves some behind. So I will summarize this by saying, oh, and then there's one more thing. And then we don't have a transparent pyramid where quality recreational programs have an opportunity to play against the big boys and see where they stand. So you as a grassroots coach can't offer value in the way it's perceived to some parents who want to participate in the more prestigious and known leagues like the EDPs, the ECNLs, MLS Next. So even if you're developing kids, if you can't participate in those leagues, your program is automatically going to be devalued. So I say all of that to say, I often summarize this by saying we have a lot of options, but not a lot of choices. It is becoming more of the have and the have nots, and not these strong, developmentally focused grassroots programs that really fulfill a mission of development and fun that parents can stick with until their kid is really ready to go into a more competitive environment if they choose to. So, what are your thoughts on that?
If I had a piece of wood nail with or a piece of wood with nails on it, you just nailed everything down. You hit the nail right in the head with everything you just said right there. Um, Again, with the roles that we all play as coaches, when I absorb everything that you just said, because within my past 10 years of coaching, I feel the role that I do play really is sometimes people call it zone one, is within that zone one. So when I'm hired as a coach and board members or coaches and volunteers are ringing that red alarm and they just need help, and I come in, this is I'm soaring in as Superman, as I like to think. This is what I can offer to you for your zone one. And oftentimes, yeah, as you mentioned, a lot of the younger ones benefit. People are very, very, very happy with it. They're seeing that development quickly. Um, and it does become a conversation with the older ones, well, my child didn't have this. What options we have for these? We don't want to leave them behind. So um, that's when I really need the help of others with those zone two and zone three experience, because I don't want to be that person that's stepping on other people's toes. I like that zone one professionalism and expertise, and that's what I really want to focus on. And it really bothers me when people really, if they never play the sport, if they don't know anything about soccer, and they really want to give their opinions in terms of what should or shouldn't be happening. I don't understand that. And and I know a lot of those people tend to really leave the sport altogether, and you just don't hear anything about them. So I like UPSL. I'll reference UPSL, their model. As a player and as a coach, I like to see where am I going next. And UPSL, just like MLS Next, has those first teams. And then it kind of tears down, 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 down. I've had conversations with UPSL organizations, just like I've had conversations with when I worked with MLS academies. I found my role within those MLS academies were very much within their zone one. Those players are hungry. When we're talking about inside the foot chop, outside the foot chop, we're very much talking about the fundamentals. But boy, like those MLS neck players can really execute. And it's amazing to hear that people want to talk about overlaps and other things, because when I am in England or I am working with these top youth players, it really is the fundamentals at speed. Um, and I really just think people just really kind of try to say no, 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 we're gonna try to talk tactics. And so that definitely is the conversation that you'll hear me talking a whole lot about. But yeah, I like the UPSL, I like MLS Next, because you can see where you're going next. I often say that in youth soccer we have what's called, well, I'll call it the Little Red Schoolhouse effect. Long, long time ago in this country, we had little red schoolhouses, maybe one teacher teaching a whole group of students, all various levels and ages and skills. Um, I reference, I, um, I replicate that and say that's similar to what's happening here with soccer, where we have not necessarily, one coach coaching the entire club, but we do have one coach within a team of maybe two or three, grades and various skill levels. So my role within grassroots within zone one is how do we really clean up that little red schoolhouse look that we have going on. For me, it's easiest within the youngest age groups to just say, if someone's this age, boom, they're at age group players, they're that grade, that group grade players, that skill level, boom. It's very easy. By U9, U10, U11, when there's that interest in travel, again, you hit the nail right in the head where people are just starting to pull their kids. And I've joked around and said that if a child runs from their car to a recreational field and they don't fall over, they're already athletic enough to go play travel soccer. So I've noticed, what can we do to try to prevent that kind of stuff from happening? What can we do to kind of really solidify those teams and age groups? So my role really has been really looking at those things. And when we do those things, people above start to realize, well, that's not fair. What do we do for my age group? And again, that's why I really need that help with those zone two and zone three coaches. I think it's just a matter of really trying to replicate what MLS Next or UPSL is trying to do, trying to say, what do we have? I know everyone's trying to chase ECNL and EDP, but really as a player myself, I just want to see what did this club produce? If this club is producing players that's then going to another club, then that's okay. But what I'm seeing is people that just want to produce players and just keep players for themselves. As an ODP coach, because I've coached various levels of ODP, collegiate, grassroots. So I don't really want to hold on to a player on my own. I want them to go all over, various opportunities, various options. So I don't understand the creating a club team and then just keeping these players and trying to keep them for 8, 9, 10 years. I think that's really holding players back. So I like that. What is this club producing? If you're a parent new to a club, ask, and look, I've even been saying, talk to some of the older parents that are phasing out. If those parents formerly don't have a kid on a club, but there are some parents that are still present, talk to them, ask them, what happened and what their child's experience was. Because as a coach, I can try to say, like, oh, we're creating the best, we're developing, we're looking to get to the next level, EDP, ECNL, college division one. That's what, and if a parent of an 8, 9, or 10-year old is brand new to the scene, then they're excited. They're absorbing this. And I just don't think it's fair to really throw that at parents. So on the opposite side of that, sometimes people think that maybe I'm being pessimistic, and it's not. It's more so of a realistic. Let's get the foundation down. Let's make sure the kids are enjoying it. Let's make sure that what we see, but the trends that we see happening with maybe that U12 team that just broke apart, or that U15 team that just broke apart. Please, can we just look at what's happening within these older teams or older players? And if we're not listening to a coach like myself, then really we need to ask the parents of those players that faded out, because those parents that really those parents of those juniors and seniors, those are the ones that really have a true perspective of what's going on. If you're a parent of a junior or senior and your kid has it, I don't see those parents on the youth soccer pages bragging and posting. If your kid doesn't have it, I don't see those parents on the youth soccer pages, commenting. It's just those parents like in between, So we just really need to really get that solidified, that reality. And again, I'm just gonna keep on saying that I want to see that structure within that entire organization. Now, if I'm working with an organization that doesn't have that structure and we have players going to various clubs, I think it's okay to really be honest with that and say, look, we're a developmental organization. All of our players move on to better clubs. And if that's who we are, I don't think there's anything wrong with being proud of that.
Yeah, sort of like a soccer school. And that soccer schools, and you're from Brazil, soccer schools are prevalent in Brazil where people have the stated mission of developing players. They may not even have a robust gaming program developing players so that they can then get into an academy. And then obviously for them, that means changing their lives, changing their families' lives. And then I'll put my final thoughts to say, because I love the term zone 1, 2, and 3. I wish there was more continuity, and I wish there was more, which again we get into the money and incentives issue, but I wish there was more, almost like a guidance counselor of clubs saying, hey, we're investing in this grassroots program, and it's not that your child is not going to didn't make the team. It's that we're supporting this grassroots club program. Let's play this another year. You have our support. The coach has our support. You're going to save money. Yeah, you're going to save money, right? You're going to have a competitive environment because you're still going to be part of our gaming program. But we're working with this grassroots club to help your child develop. This is not just like rec. So now, final thoughts, Jesse.
Yep. So when I was in England last year, I really thought we were gonna be playing on some great facilities, great locker rooms, but it wasn't the case. It was very much really beat up fields, beat up, stadiums, old. But it wasn't even about that. The one thing that really struck me and I really didn't notice was when we approached a field, the fields that we did play on, they had the FA stamp, the FA logo with the dragons. Um, Again, they weren't great facilities. Some of them were really old. Grass wasn't great. But the clubs, that we played against, they had their, they had it together. They weren't, first team, top team that we'd see on TV. Um, but speaking with those coaches of those clubs, and I inquired about that FA stamp that was on some of the fields that when we went and played. Um, when somebody wants to create a club over there, and this is what I learned or what I heard what the individual told me. When somebody wants to create a club, whether it be more so Rec Plus or Rec Select as we call over here, um, the FA England, the soccer body, they want to make sure, okay, let's see what you're doing here. We're not gonna give you money. We're not gonna clean up this field. We're not gonna give you the best stadium. We're not gonna, we just want to make sure
Yeah.
that you're developing players the right way. And I've noticed that that is what that little stamp means on these fields. So when we were going to the field, it's like, man, like what a clean look. Man, what a clean look. And I think you touched on it in our last interview. What's the difference between the rec over there in UK and rec over here? Here we could just create a team. We could just create a club. Anyone could just go to the field and be like, hey, well, you know what? I don't like what that coach, I don't like what that club is doing. We're just gonna start our own thing. And you could hold on to players for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years and have a team and do that. It's happening a lot um, and without anybody overseeing what you're doing. And I've noticed, and I was really impressed that in England, that's what those clubs were part of. They were very much delegated like that.
Guys, I've sat down with Jesse part two of this interview where we talked about grassroots soccer. Jesse, I'm about to get you back on. My name is Neil Crawford. I'm the founder of Anytime Soccer Training and also the host of the Inside Scoop. This is going to be posted in our Facebook group. And I always say you can't cover everything in a podcast. So this is an invitation for folks to reach out to you personally and continue this conversation. I know you've already been getting some DMs on the work you've done in the free play space, and I want that to continue because it's through networking and support and sharing best practices that we can all work together to make youth soccer a better place. Again, my name is Neil Crawford. I'm the founder of Anytime Soccer Training. Let's get better together. All right, thank you.